Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. Bitesquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order. This is the TalkNorth.com podcast network. This is Preps Today with John Millea. John is the preps guru at MSHSL.org, scouring the state for the best stories. Does a great job. You can find his work at the MSHSL.org website, and you can find his stories here in a very easy to consume package. We do about 20-minute shows that canvass the state, and we are sponsored by Pizza Barn in Princeton, Minnesota, pizzabarnprinceton.com. Let's start with MSHSL board decisions. You should have the insight on that stuff.
Yeah, Jim, I was sitting in the boardroom at the high school league offices in Brooklyn Center last week. The board, which is 20 people from around the state, they meet 6 times a year. So this was the October meeting, and a lot of things to come out of it. The biggest one, and this is just kind of meat and potatoes stuff to kick off the show this week. There was no surprise when the board approved adding a third class to track and field. It's been a 2-class sport for a long time. 2 months ago, the board approved an additional class in cross country and volleyball and soccer. So this was the one. I think there were some questions whether, since the last meeting, this news of a little revenue shortfall at the league has come out, and we've talked about that before. It's not a huge thing. It's not cause for panic. We wondered if maybe some board members would consider holding off on adding another class, because it does add expenses. With 3 classes of track, what's now a 2-day state track meet held at Hamline University every spring, beginning in 2022, it'll become a 3-day track meet, and that's it's basically 33% more cost, but it's a great opportunity for kids. More kids get to go to state, get to compete on the big stage. So to me, that was the biggest thing to come out of that meeting. Another thing that another spring sport, the baseball coaches had a proposal. They would like to not add more games. Right now, baseball teams can play 20 regular season games in Minnesota. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's hard to get 20 games in considering the weather in the spring. So they came up with what I thought was kind of an inventive proposal. Keep the limit at 20 dates. You can play on 20 dates, but raise the number of games from 20 to 24, basically to play doubleheaders. And they had figured this out pretty well. I thought, these games would have to be played on Fridays or Saturdays or holidays, so kids wouldn't miss any more school time. But I think the fact of adding more games, some of the board members, or a lot of the board members, worried about that, because hockey has come up with proposals multiple times to play more games. I think they were afraid of opening that window, so that did not pass. So it was a pretty newsy board meeting, and the next day, I tweeted about this. I was in the drive-through lane at a restaurant. I'm picking up some lunch to bring home to my wife and I, in the John's Journal Toyota Camry. It's pretty hard to miss. So a guy walks out of the restaurant. I think he was on his way to his car anyway. Kind of gives me a look. I roll down the window, and he says, "I've got a question, and you would know the answer. You would know the answer to this question. Did the 3-class track thing go through?" And I said, "Yes, it did." It did go through, and he smiled, and we went on our way. And to me, that's kind of like a human Twitter exchange. Somebody had a question. I had the answer
No, but he
through the
didn't call
window
you
of
any
my
names,
car.
so it's not a Twitter exchange.
That's true. It's not Twitter. That's true. He didn't holler at me and call me names. But that was kind of interesting. I'm glad to provide services to the public, even face-to-face. Nothing wrong with that. And one more high school league tidbit here. We've started a new weekly award. I talked about this last week. We're calling it the Most Valuable Teammate Award. It goes for someone who, exhibits, all the qualities of being a great teammate. And I tweet these out, put them on the MSHSL Facebook page every Thursday. So the inaugural recipient of the MVT award is Elizabeth Montgomery, senior volleyball player from Howard Lake, Waverly, Winstead. So on Thursdays, there'll be a new one of these. We've designed kind of a nice look for these awards that can be kind of a keepsake for the kids. So that's the biggest cool thing I know about the high school league is the Most Valuable Teammate Award. We're kind of excited about that. Wells Fargo is the sponsor of that award, and I know they're excited about it too. I think it's a great idea.
It is a great idea. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on that.
Not my idea. Well, I'd like to say it was my idea, but hey, it's a great idea, just not mine.
You're associated with a great idea, which is more than some of us can say.
I'm associated with a lot of things. Yeah.
All right. Tell me about football night in Becker.
Yeah, I had a really fun Friday night, Jim, up in Becker. I realized I hadn't been there for at least 3 years. And, the whole pork chop thing became a whole Twitter thing, which it always does. But the football game was great. 2 top 10 teams in Class 4A, Ricori coming over to Becker. They're in the same section, so this was pretty important as far as section seating. They may meet again, and boy, I'd like to see these teams play again. The final was Becker 14, Ricori 12. All the points came in the second quarter. And you can tell by that this was a defensive game, a lot of punts, some big plays, but defenses, these are fast defenses. There might be a pass or a ball carrier, gets about 35 yards downfield, but these defenses caught up to the guys with the ball and brought them down, and it just had a wild finish. Ricori down by 2, got the ball on its own 8 after a punt, started from their own 8 with 52 seconds left. And son of a gun, the game ended on a missed field goal from 25 yards. Ricori did a great job of moving the ball down the field. And before the game, I was talking with Dwight Lundeen, who's in his 50th year coaching football at Becker. And I kind of said, asked him to give me the scouting report on Ricori. And he said, we got to be able to do things defensively because their quarterback is really good. And he is more than really good. It's a senior named Sam Stile. Just a great athlete, big, strong quarterback, can throw the ball, run the ball, led that offense really well on the final drive of the game. And he's such a good athlete. He's not only a great quarterback, he's going to play baseball at the University of Nebraska.
Wow.
So really, really fun to watch. Another kid that's fun to watch. Becker has a fullback, a senior named Isaac Koop, Koop. They list him at 160 pounds. I believe that. And they also list him at 5'5". I don't know if he's that tall. 5'5", 160, hustles, just throws blocks, carried the ball, scored a touchdown the other night, short yardage. Really cool to see a kid like that who maybe doesn't fit the typical football frame, 5'5", 160, really a heck of a football player. And then back to Dwight Lundeen, the Becker coach. He started the football program there when he was 21 years old. Now this is his 50th season, as I said. Becker did not have football. It was a new school in a little farm town in the middle of nowhere. So he's been the only head coach they've ever had in their 50-year history of the program. And he's never missed a practice or a game in 50 years. And just a great guy. Really, really fun. They love him up there. I tweeted a picture of a high school girl with a giant photo of Dwight Lundeen way beyond life size, just like a face shot. And she had to come up and hug him after the game. And so the high school kids bring giant photos of the head coach to the games.
Wow.
That's how much they love Dwight and Becker. And And it was a blast. It was a beautiful night. The place is always full. They've been so good at football up there. Just a great night. I see people from Becker that I only see when I'm watching a Becker football game. They always come and say hi, and they do a great job up there. It's just one of those places where football is just so ingrained in the culture. After the game, everybody comes on the field, parents, grandparents, friends. It's just a big gathering on the field, and football players from Becker are chatting with football players from Rocori. A lot of them know each other from other sports and activities. And so I'm standing there with Dwight Lundeen, just kind of looking at this scene. And I said, Dwight, it isn't like this everywhere. Just this positive culture. It was parents' night. It was youth night. They had, 200 little kids out on the football field at halftime, running around, chasing each other. And just a great town. And Dwight Lundeen is somebody I respect as much as anybody I've ever known, and really, really fun when it's game night in Becker.
Cool stuff. I love atmospheres like that. It's we've talked about before on the show. I covered high school sports for a while, and I do miss the atmosphere around a good program where the parents aren't all trying to get the coach fired and the kids aren't complaining about playing time. There are good places. There are good places where it feels the way high school sports should. Yep,
and Becker's certainly one of those. Maybe the best example I've ever seen.
That's great. We also like the atmosphere around Princeton. We visit there. We eat the pizza at Pizza Barn in Princeton. And, you can go to pizzabarnprinceton.com, check out everything they have to offer, including their specials. And they also have beers of the week and pizza of the month, dine-in specials. But John knows even better than I do how cool a place it is.
Yeah, Jim, like you said, we've been there multiple times. Jody Stay, who runs the show, does a great job, and it's just so community minded. We talk about that a lot. All the things they do for teams at Princeton High School and activities, non-athletic activities. They support everything so well. And Jody had posted a video recently on the Pizza Barn Facebook page, and she talked about what she called the last push of the remodel of their dining room. And when we were there, it had changed a lot from the first time we were there to when we were there early in the football season. They opened up a wall and have kind of a dining area, kind of a bar, kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of an island there. And really looks good. And she talked about how almost everything in the Pizza Barn has a story, the space itself and, what other businesses used to be there. And she had talked to us when we were there about the lumber, the beams, the ceiling, where everything came from. It's all historic. It's really a neat space, certainly not cookie cutter. It's really kind of a cool little small town space, and they've done a great job of putting that whole thing together. And also October, we're in National Pizza Month, and the pizza of the month at the Pizza Barn in Princeton is the Oktoberfest pizza, which sounds pretty good. I don't even need to know what's on that. That sounds pretty good.
I'll just eat it.
Just here you go, load it up. Let's go. Let's eat it. And there are always lots of deals up there, lots of great options. I'm not so sure about another one Jody has talked about. It's a dessert item called the Dirt Pizza. And I think this one may be geared more for kids than Jim Suhan and John Millea, because it includes Oreos and gummy bears.
Yeah, that's not for me. I'm sure it'll be popular. But I'll go with pepperoni. Thank you.
Yeah, take off the Oreos and the gummy bears. Put some sausage and pepperoni on there. But it's a great place. If you're ever in Becker, coming north or south on 169, find the Pizza Barn, and you'll not be disappointed. It's a tremendous place.
Well, that's the thing. You don't have to be in Princeton to enjoy Pizza Barn. If you're anywhere north of on 169, coming south of 169, going up north for a weekend, south for a weekend, it's a very short detour to get over and meet Jody and all the high school kids who work for her. Just have a good time and have a pizza. Let's go. And speaking of which, let's go to food of the week.
That takes us back to Becker and the famous pork chops. They've been doing this since sometime in the mid-'90s, I think. It's a secret recipe. Basically, the way I'm told is for this game Friday night, they grilled 400 pork chops. And I don't know at what point they put them in coolers and pour this secret sauce here 6 hours or whatever. And they slap those babies on the big hot grill. And they cook them and they hand them to you in a napkin. There's nothing on a stick. There's no utensils. You eat it out of a napkin. You throw the bones in the trash can. It's unbelievable. $4 a piece or 3 for $10. So Friday night they had 400 of them, and they were all gone